How's it going, everyone? This is Optimus N64 again. Now, I've been trying to do this video for a few weeks now. I know I'm like a few weeks late and a couple of dollars short, but I guess better late than never. Well, anyways, there's been a problem going on in the Halo community as of late. This is more of a public service announcement. This is to all the Halo fans who have been looking to get Halo Infinite at launch day, like the physical copy, like the campaign. See, the campaign came out a few weeks ago, back on December 8th of this year, 2021. But then there's been a bit of a problem with the physical copy. Halo Infinite launched with pretty much nothing on the disc. And this is still an issue for especially Xbox owners, for especially, you know, the Halo fans. And there's other games like Forza 5 or Forza Horizon 5, Flight Simulator, and I'll address those later. This is an issue for people who prefer buying their games physically. This is an issue for people who prefer buying physical media. Now, before I get into the details of this issue, I want to give a shout out to YouTube users Spawnwave, Destruction Games, Gunter the First, Retro Rebound, who gave a shout out to Shinobi602 on Twitter, and General Kid for making some videos in regards to Halo's physical copy issue. I'll have a link to your YouTube channels in the description below. As I've mentioned before, like I said, this is a public service announcement for the Halo community, for Halo fans, you know, for Xbox owners, and for fans of physical media. And I also want to make sure, I doubt it will, but I hope this video can reach Phil Spencer, the head of the Xbox team, to the head of the 343 Industries team, whoever's in charge, and why this issue needs to be addressed. Okay? As I mentioned before in some of my Fatal Frame videos about Fatal Frame 5 not getting a physical copy on the Wii U, some of us gamers are still passionate about physical media. And as I mentioned before, with physical media, it's a good way of preserving video games, preserving video game history. With a physical copy of a video game, you've got full access to what's on the format. The whole purpose of a physical copy is to grant you ownership of the material. Now, here's what we mean when we say physical media's ownership. What we're saying is that physical copies of a video game is what grants you the ability to play the game years and years down the road without the need of an internet connection. Here's an example. This was my uncle's copy of Halo Combat Evolved, his original copy. My uncle, Chris, he got me into the Halo series back when I was 8 years old, going on 9, back in 2002. When he first got the original Xbox, he brought me and my sister up to show us the Xbox. He showed us Halo. At first, he wouldn't let me play the game because it was a mature rating, and I grew up in a household where we were very strict on mature rated games or R-rated movies. But eventually, at one point, when he was playing the second mission, Halo, we had to activate the holographic bridge. And one of my other uncle, his brother, came over to see the game at once on co-op. They were playing it on co-op. And when my other uncle left, my Uncle Chris, he asked me to drive the Warthog across the bridge. And once I drove across the bridge, he started, right then and there, he was starting to let me play Halo. So eventually he creates a profile for me, and we started playing the game, and we eventually beat it. Now, my uncle claims he hasn't beaten his his profile, because when we got to the final mission, the mall, um, we can, he tried to hold off all the enemies on the Warthog's gun turret or something, and he told me just keep going straight to the end. Go get on that ship. Let's get out of here. And we did it. But more to the point, I have a working Xbox, an original Xbox. Ever since my Uncle Chris stopped playing games, he gave me his original Xbox. My dad, now, back when I was in high school, my dad, when he stopped playing games, he gave me his old Xbox. He also gave me his old PlayStation 1, but he gave me his original Xbox. And the best part is, I can still plug in one of those Xbox consoles, and I can still play them to this day. On this disc is the Halo Combat Evolved campaign, the full campaign. You got all the difficulties. You got co-op with split screen. You got split screen multiplayer. And funny, see, this didn't have, I mean, I don't know if Xbox Live was a thing when the original Xbox first launched back in November 2001. But this has System Link. And the game supported up to 16 players. Like, you could hook your Xboxes up to other Xboxes. And, like, if we had a friend, like my Uncle Chris, he was friends with a guy named Brad. And Brad had the Xbox back then as well. And if he had brought his Xbox over one time with a separate TV, we could have done System Link. And because the internet usage wasn't very high back then, as far as to my knowledge, like as far as online console gaming goes, I don't think online console gaming was that big back then. I don't, again, I was still a kid at that time. I was limited on the internet, so I couldn't tell for sure. But my point is, not only do I have access to the campaign, I also have access to the multiplayer. Now, keep in mind, Xbox Live servers for the original Xbox are currently down. I heard somewhere they were going to bring them back. I heard it was through a third-party company. I could be wrong. But even though Xbox Live servers are down for the original Xbox, that can't stop me from plugging in my old Xbox and still playing Halo Combat Evolved. I also have Halo 2 put up right now. I have most of my game consoles put up because I've been limiting my time on the games as a bit. In these recent events, I've lost some relatives, my grandmother, my stepdad, and I've been just trying to spend as much time with my family as I can. And as of right now, I'm just kind of limiting my time on the games. But I do plan on getting an Xbox One X eventually. I've been saving up the money to get one. And the reason why I don't plan on getting the Series X is, well, because of its DRM issue, and I'll explain it later in this video. But I have Halo Combat Evolved right now because the disc is in pretty rough shape. When the money's right, I'm going to go up to Pastry's Game Zone and have them buffer the disc. Same with my copy of Halo 3. And, you know, the discs, they're in pretty rough shape. So they got a disc buffering machine. They've been working like great, making my games work like brand new again. If you're ever in Pikeville, Kentucky, if you got some discs in rough shape, stop by Pastry's Game Zone. They got a disc refurbishing machine, and it works like a charm. Now, more to the point, like I said, with physical media, you've got full access to what's on the format. And like I said, because the servers to Xbox Live are shut down on the original Xbox, I can still plug in my original Xbox and I can still play Halo Combat Evolved to this day. And the thing about it is, with the physical copy, I've got full access to what's on the format. I got full access to the campaign, to the multiplayer. And if I were to play this on the original Xbox, I have access to Xbox game demos. See, at the time when the original Xbox launched, they had some game demos and trailers to show you what else was available on the original Xbox and what was yet to come. Let me bring back my physical copy of Halo 3. I got this as a late Christmas present back in Christmas 2007. It was right after Christmas. Because back then we got the Xbox 360 Elite. It's funny, me and my sister had to share it, but eventually I got my own Xbox 360, and I might save that story for a later video. But more to the point, I still got a working Xbox 360. It's the arcade edition. That was the only one we could afford at the time, my own personal 360. But my point is that I can still plug in my Xbox 360 and I can still play Halo 3's campaign. I can still play the multiplayer. I can play Forge. And when ODST came out, now ODST didn't have its own multiplayer. Like you couldn't play multiplayer with as a ODST trooper, just only Halo Spartans and Covenant Elites. But at least it had the complete. See, when Halo 3 ODST launched, it had 2 discs. There was the first disc, which was the Halo ODST campaign, but then you had a separate disc, which was the complete Halo 3 multiplayer experience. You had full access to all the multiplayer maps. Some of the multiplayer maps that were downloadable content, if you only had the original Halo 3. But if you got Halo 3 ODST, if you got the separate disc with the Halo 3 multiplayer, you would have all the DLC on the disc. And because I got a physical copy of Halo 3 ODST, I still have access to those multiplayer maps, and I don't even have to go on Xbox Live just to play them. I can always use System Link. Well, not just System Link. Split screen, because to this day I have yet to experience System Link. But either way, that's kind of the issue why I want to talk about in this video. I can still plug in my original Xbox. I can still plug in my 360. I can still play Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 on my original Xbox to this day with full access to the multiplayer and the campaign. Same with Halo 3. I also have Halo ODST. I got Reach. I got 4. I got Combat Evolved Anniversary on the 360. And they all give me full access to the campaign and the multiplayer on the disc. Minus Combat Evolved Anniversary because, it didn't have its own multiplayer. It just had a multiplayer expansion for Halo Reach. But here we got a problem with Halo Infinite. Now, recently, Halo Infinite, like I said, came out a couple of weeks ago, back on December 8th. And the reviews are looking pretty high. It's looking like a good game. And I've seen the graphics. I think the graphics are good. Again, not the best, but good enough. I heard the gameplay was good. The campaign was good. The problem when Halo Infinite launched, there's no co-op, no split screen, no Forge, and the multiplayer is a standalone feature, and I'm going to explain that later in this video. But the problem with the Halo Infinite disc, the campaign is not on the disc. And again, as I mentioned, those YouTube users that I've shout out, I'm going to post a link to their videos in the description below. I also want to give a shout out to a group called Does It Play. I used to follow them on Twitter, and then I got banned from Twitter for stupid reasons, political reasons. But I still follow Does It Play on Discord. If I ever remember, I'll give you a link to their Discord group. I want to say thank you all for giving me especially, again, I want to thank Does It Play on Discord for giving me the information on this issue, and those YouTube users that I gave a shout out to. I want to say thank you guys for posting these videos, because you've inspired me to make this video too, and I hope we can get more people involved, to get Microsoft to listen, to get the Xbox studios to listen. This is becoming an issue with physical media, and it needs to be addressed. And it's not just Halo Infinite. Forza Horizon 5 has nothing on the disc. Flight Simulator has nothing on the disc. I don't even have those games. I don't plan to get them unless they print the full content on the disc. If you have to print a separate disc, like an installation disc, that's understandable. That's fine. But physical buyers are being taken advantage of. And the problem is, we might be living in the year 2021, going on 2022 in a few days, like the time of this video. Be sure to check the time of this video. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to have full access to the internet. And that's another problem we're having in the gaming community. And maybe not just the gaming community, but for humanity as a whole. We're starting to live in the internet. And it's got to stop. We got to stop relying so much on the internet to take care of our needs, our values. And I'm not anti-internet. I like the internet. It's a good way to voice your opinion, to make entertainment content. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making this video right now. But the problem is, okay, and I'm not knocking people for preferring digital. I'm not attacking people who prefer digital media. But you guys got to understand something. Not everyone has access to the internet. It's either that or they're not going to have good, stable internet. And that's really not their fault, because what you have to understand is that some people live check to check. Some people can't even afford the internet. I don't know the internet usage. I don't know what the percentage is for internet usage now. But back in 2013, when the whole Xbox One DRM controversy rose, I once remember there was a poll that was taken back then, and that poll stated that over 60% of the world did not have access to the internet. And there are gamers in that 66 percentage, in that 66 demographic. Does anyone remember the Xbox One DRM controversy that happened back on May 21st, I think? It was back in 2013 when Microsoft first unveiled the system. For those who don't know, the Xbox One DRM controversy happened back in that year, back in that timeline. Microsoft's original plan for the Xbox One was that it was going to require an internet connection because it was going to provide mandatory updates. It was going to validate your software every 24 hours. You didn't have to constantly connect to the internet. You only had to connect it one time to provide a 1-hour update. Then you could disconnect. But if the whole purpose was to provide mandatory updates, you might as well have it constantly connected. And another problem with the Xbox One DRM is that they took away the value and ownership of our physical games. That was their original plan. What they were going to do is that even though you had the option of physical media, the problem with the physical copies is that they originally were not going to let you buy a used copy. You could buy a used copy. Or, say, I took my copy of Halo Combat, the Master Chief Collection, over to a friend's house and played it on their Xbox One. They wouldn't be able to play it unless I were to see. I think the physical game was going to tie into your account. And if somebody else wanted to play the game on their account or on another Xbox One, they couldn't do it unless they paid Microsoft a fee. And another problem was region locking, which, they obviously drop. You can play imported games on your Xbox One. But the problem is that Microsoft, the fans, Xbox fans, Xbox gamers, they were not happy with this issue because they wanted a game console that they could own, that they could truly own. And they wanted a game console that they could go back to years down the road, even if the servers are down. And it goes back to my old copy of Halo Combat Evolved and my original copy of Halo 3. To this day, I can still put them in an Xbox original or an Xbox 360, and I can still play them to this day. But if Microsoft had not dropped the DRM for the Xbox One, we wouldn't be able to do that. Because imagine if years down the road, if the servers to the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X go out, you wouldn't be able to play those. You wouldn't be able to play them anymore because of the constant internet connection. And because some physical games are being released incomplete, we won't be able to download. We won't be able to play the game unless we connect to the internet and download the campaign or the rest of the game. and we couldn't download the rest of the game because the servers are out, if they were out. And that's the thing about these online services, is that they'll eventually go out. Halo Infinite has 15 gigabytes on the disc. The campaign, according to these playtesters, has 25 gigabytes. 15 plus 25 equals 40 gigabytes of data. And I think Xbox One discs are now Blu-ray discs, and the average Blu-ray disc can hold up to 50 gigabytes of data. So 40 is plenty enough to print on a physical disc. Now the Halo Infinite multiplayer only has 4 gigabytes. They could print it on the physical disc if they wanted to, but the problem is that the physical disc to Halo Infinite is the problem with the Halo Infinite multiplayer is that it's a standalone feature. It's its own thing. So years down the road, I may not have access to the multiplayer, but if they were to reprint Halo Infinite, the entire campaign all on the disc, I could still play the campaign on the disc. You know, play it through the disc, play it on the Xbox One X. And another problem is that the Xbox Series X has another issue, and it's not just Halo Infinite. Even if the game was released complete with all the content on the disc, some physical games are being required to go online and finish installing. And this is a serious issue that I think Microsoft has addressed. I don't know if they plan on fixing it. I do hope they fix it. Like, if you bought a Xbox Series X game, like, some Xbox One games can also be compatible with the Series X, but there's also going to be some Xbox games that are Series X exclusive. As of right now, it's Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Now, from what I heard, that game does not require internet at all. You can still put it in your Xbox Series X, and you can just play it to this day. Like, I know I'm stating the obvious here, but imagine years down the road, the servers to the Xbox Series X go out. You can't play those physical games because you can't get online and finish installing them. You can do it with now. You could play Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Like, that's the only Xbox Series X game that does not require internet. Now, the thing with Halo Infinite, I also heard that you can't replay missions. There's no co-op, no forge. So I want to use this opportunity to address this issue. I want to make this video to address this issue and to see to it that physical buyers and the gaming community gets a much better service. If anyone can help make this video, reach out to Microsoft, reach out to 343, to Phil Spencer, to Xbox Studios. You guys need to fix this issue. You need to reprint Halo Infinite with the entire campaign on the disc. If there's any future updates, like the ability to replay missions, to add a co-op to it, with split screen, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Now, you don't have to do this part, but if you were to release Halo Infinite's multiplayer on a physical disc with all the multiplayer maps on it, with the ability to play split screen, to play multiplayer split screen, that would be great. I'd buy that in a heartbeat. Again, you don't have to do it, but what you really need to do is you need to reprint Halo Infinite with the entire campaign on the disc, the ability to replay missions, the ability to have split screen co-op, and any other issues that need to be fixed. You also need to reprint Forza Horizon with all the content on the disc. If you have to print an installation disc, so be it. Same with Flight Simulator. Because what you're doing is you're taking advantage of physical buyers. You're not giving them the ability to own their games, to truly own them. And like I said before, I can still plug in my old Xbox and play Halo Combat Evolved, my original copy. I've got full access to the campaign and multiplayer. Same with Halo 3. If I put it in an Xbox 360, I can have full access to the campaign and the multiplayer. So, these incomplete physical games to the entire gaming industry. You got to stop this. You've got to let people keep buying their games physically. If people want to buy a physical copy because they have a sense of ownership, let them. They need to do it. You guys need to let them do it. I'm the customer. I'm the one with the money. And if you want me to support your product, you got to meet my demands first. Because remember, we are what made you successful. We, the consumers, are the reason why the industry is successful, not the products that the industry sold. So, that's all I want to address in this video. Again, this is an issue in the gaming industry that needs to be addressed. We need to fix this issue. We need to fix the Xbox Series X issue. The Series X is what gives you the ability to play physical games on the new Xbox. The Series S is a digital-only variant. But where people prefer physical media, they're going to get the Series X. But they won't be able to own their physical games unless Microsoft fixes the online requirement issue. Remember, we fought Microsoft blood, sweat, and tears to make them drop the DRM feature for the Xbox One. It became an intense battle that we won, but now it seems like Microsoft's trying to bring it back. Phil Spencer, head of the Xbox team, Microsoft, whoever's in charge, you guys are better than this. You need to stop relying too much on the internet. You need to have optional features for the consumers, for the gamers. You need to give us the ability to play our games without a constant need of an internet connection. I have nothing against online multiplayer. I wouldn't care not one bit to go online and play online games with some friends. But at the same time, I also would like to have the option for a friend to come over to have some company, and we can do a split screen multiplayer, split screen co-op, that kind of thing. You need to stop this online requirement stuff. You need to start giving us better value for our physical games. Game preservation is important. We need to keep physical media alive. All right? And I know some of you people are going to be watching this and think, I know we got some people who are new to this generation of gaming, who are new to digital distribution and all that. I know some of you guys are probably watching this and thinking, well, dude, digital distribution is the future. Well, yeah, it's only the future because you're supporting it. Okay? And again, I'm not knocking you for supporting it. You just need to understand the downsides of digital distribution. But I'm going to explain more about the value and ownership of physical media in a future video. I want to make a future video dedicated to physical media, the importance of preservation and ownership in a future video. I'm going to do that in a later video sometime when I get the chance, when I get the time to do it. But as of right now, I want to give a little encouragement to some of you newcomers to the gaming community. Try to save up your money. Go to a local used game store if you can find one, or get on eBay if you can. Find yourself an original Xbox. Find yourself the original copy of Halo. It doesn't strictly have to be Xbox or Halo. Try to find an old video game console, like the 64, like the Nintendo GameCube, like the PlayStation 2. Because back then, when you bought a game console, you bought a game, and that was it. That was what made gaming great. And we need to bring that era back. And again, I'm all for different opinions. If you prefer digital, that's fine. I really don't want to knock people for that. That's not me. That's not my character. But you guys need to learn your history. Okay? You need to experience what we had growing up back then. If you've got the money, if you can do it, get on eBay, get on Amazon, find yourself an old game console from past generations. Go to your local game store. If there's a used games market near you, go to it. Like if you're ever in Pikeville, Kentucky, go to Patriots Game Zone. If you're in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, There's a used video games market called Control Freak Video Games. They're right beside the Christmas Inn Hotel where me, my mom, and my sister stayed at for Christmas vacation. There's a used game store right beside of it. Wherever you go, if you find a used video game store, go to that store. And if you've got the money, buy an old game console. If you're a Halo fan like me, pick up the original Xbox, pick up the original copy of Halo, and you'll know what I'm talking about, and you'll know the importance of game preservation. Again, I plan on doing a future video dedicated to physical media, the importance of ownership, and why we need to quit relying so much on the internet. I plan on doing a video about that in the future, but I'm just going to need to find the time to do it. But as of right now, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. I appreciate your time for watching this video. If you like my content, by all means subscribe and wait for more. As far as future videos is concerned, I still do plan on doing some collection videos. I still plan on doing a video showing my GameCube collection. It's just right now I got a bunch of GameCube games that are in bad condition. I got two games that are loose. I got Game Boy Player and Eternal Darkness that don't have the original case. I'm going to try and find them. I still plan on doing like my Wii collection, my Wii U, my Switch, or any other game console. I do plan on making a video speaking out against Sony censorship policies. And once I get my PS4 Pro, maybe, once I get an Xbox One X, I might get back into streaming. I might get back to streaming some games on YouTube. I don't know for sure. I've been going to Twitch as of late for 21st Century Father, aka Steve. I'll have a link to his channel below here on YouTube or his Twitch page. By all means, give him some support, give him some love, guys. I'd appreciate it. But until then, this is Optimus N64 signing off. Have a good life.